Okay, this has a pretty basic rule to it that I don't know that I've introduced to you um, very explicitly, but let's hear it right now, um, which is this, that for any particular area that you're given, or area that you're given, if you're going to make the lengths 5 times as long in each direction, then what you're doing is you're taking that many times as big and squaring it. So, in other words, what used to have, for example, let me just draw something. Okay, if it used to be, let's say, 2 by 2, and you made it 5 times longer, which by the way, there's four in there, four units inside, right? 4 square units, okay? And you made it 5 times bigger, then what you're doing is what's 5 times bigger than a side of 2? It's a side of 10, right? So now there's 10 units going along that way and 10 units going along that way. And then if you draw all those lines in there, how many units, square units would you get? And you would get 10 times 10, or 100 units. Okay, how many times bigger is that than the 4 units you started with? Well, 4 times 25 will give you the 100 because you got 5 times larger in 2 different dimensions. So 5 times 5 is 25. Now it's 25 times bigger than it was before. So take anything, the scale factor here, you say it says it's 5 times as long in each direction, and you will do 5 times 5, or 25 times as big. So let me erase all of this. And what do you then get as a result? Well, that means that if you know whatever original area you started out with, you can multiply that by 5 times 5, or 25, to find out what the new area would be. So you've got 35 times 25. And you get 875. And the units were centimeters squared, so you still have centimeters squared. So because you're making each side 5 times as long, you're squaring that number for the area, which will be 25 times as large. And if the area already was 35, 25 times 35 is 875, as we just calculated. Now, let's do the same thing. We've got a 10 by 12 rug. A 10 by 12 rug has 120 square feet, and that equals $324. Okay, so if you then divided up both sides by 120 rather, you would find out, okay, so then that would be for 1 square foot, how much are you paying? Well, 324 divided by 120, let's go on calculator here, is $2.70 for every one of those square feet, sorry. Now, how many square feet in a 15 by 18 rug? Well, what is 15 times 18 to find out the number of square feet? Each one you're going to pay $2.70 for. Well, I'm just going to do my trick. I love this trick. I'm going to double one number to 30, and take half of the other number to 9, and that makes it a really easy 3 times 9 is 27, and then add a 0. There are 270 square feet in this 15 by 18 rug. Okay, so based on the first rug, we knew that if a 10 by 12 rug, which is 120 feet, costs $324, that works out to be $2.70 a foot. So you take your 270 feet from your 15 by 18 rug and you multiply it by $2.70, and you get 729. So you should expect to pay $729 for that larger rug if you're paying the same square footage or the same price per square foot. And that's A. Now, let's just look at the scale factor on this because it's worthwhile. Okay, if you took the length of side of this 10 by 12, you say one side is 10 and it's by 12, and the other one for this larger rug, you've got a 15 by 18, and those dimensions match. So what kind of scale do we get from a 10 to 15? If we simplify that down to 2 to 3, right? What if we matched the 12 and the 18, this other matching measure? 12 to 18, we can divide those both by 6, and we're down to 2 to 3 again. So this whole thing has a 2 to 3 ratio, right? Or really if we square it for the areas, remember, we'd have to square 2 and square 3, we would get a 4 to 9 area ratio. And so we could say 4 is to 9 as, what's the cost of the small one? 324 is to this, the larger one. And what you would get as a result would then be, multiplying the diagonals, 4 times x, or 4x, equals 9 times 324, which is 2,916. And then, of course, dividing both sides by 4, we would get x equals this divided by 4, and that works out to be 729. So you can get it that number either way. Now, a rectangular napkin costs $3.25. A similar tablecloth, 5 times longer, 5 times wider. This goes back to earlier when I said if something's 5 times longer and 5 times wider, it's 25 times bigger overall. So how much would you expect to pay for the tablecloth? Well, I think what they're suggesting there is that we are taking that $3.25 and saying if we scaled it up exactly 25 times bigger, because we're getting a tablecloth that's 25 times as big, then we can do 3.25 times 25 to find out the new price, which will work out to be $81.25. And where do we see that? We see that down there at A. Okay, so if you just know something is 5 times longer, 5 times wider, then it's 25 times bigger. You can multiply it by 25. What we did on the last one is we just got it down to a single unit, and then we scaled it up. Okay, so Hiram raises earthworms in a square of compost 4 by 4. A 4 by 4 space can have 1,000 earthworms. Okay, and how many earthworms can he have if his square of compost has a side length 5 times longer? So this was 4 by 4, but it contained 1,000. Okay, it's now 5 times longer, so that means we've got now 5 in a row of these in each direction. And again, what is 5 times 5? It's 25. So that means that you're going to get that 1,000 worms. You're going to be able to have 1,000 worms 25 times over, okay, etc. I won't fill them all in, but we know that what's 25 times 1,000? It's 25,000. So he can have 25,000 earthworms if he can fit 1,000 into each 4 by 4 spot, and then makes it 5 times bigger in each direction. Okay, find the similarity ratio and the perimeter ratio. Well, here are the areas. If you've got to remember that the areas are the perimeter or ratio, similarity ratio squared. So what number squared is this 9? Okay, 9 is 3 squared. And what about 25, that's 5 squared. So it's got a similarity ratio of 3 to 5, and similarity ratios match perimeter ratios because they're all measures of length. So it's 3 to 5, and again, 3 to 5. So that is answer C.